Happy Tuesday. I kind of feel like I need to say, and now for something completely different. Just because this is something that's been on my mind and heart a bunch in the last year, and I feel like I've learned a lot from it. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna talk about it on Facebook. And if this is something that hits home with you, tag someone in it that you think might need to hear it or share it, whatever. But I want to talk about making friends. I know, like, do you all feel five yet? Maybe middle school? Um, I I know about myself now that I have a very high friend quota. Um, hey Laura, I have a very high friend quota, and what that means is that I like friends. Friends make me happy. I like different friends. I like different types of friends and all that jazz. And not everyone has that same need. Like, for example, my sister has a very low friend quota. Like, her family and a couple people here and there, and then her husband Jason, like, that's pretty much all she needs. And if I had her schedule and friend world that she has, I would wither up and die. Love you, Megan. Um, but it was really interesting. This will apply, probably a lot of people understand this either if they've changed locations in life, if they moved like I did, or even if they've just had like a seasonal shift where maybe the friends they had don't fit their life anymore. But for me, I obviously moved away, which was a huge deal, and the right thing for our family. But I knew walking into it, I'm going, this is the first time I'm going to have to make friends as an adult. Like the last time I really had to do it was college. Like I went to the University of Kentucky and I knew zero people. Shout out to Jen Wheeler, who was my very first friend in Kentucky and still is my friend. But it's a lot different making friends as an adult. So there's a couple things that I think most people don't know about making friends that I'm going to share. And I'm not an expert. I'm still learning every single day how to make friends. Um, Number one thing is you have to make effort. Think I think everyone wants to be pursued in life, whether that's romantically, whether that's with friends. You want someone to reach out to you. Well, guess what? Pretty much everyone feels that way. So swallow your pride, and if you want to make friends, you're going to need to pursue those friends. Now, sometimes it can feel overwhelming. I know it was overwhelming for me when we first moved here because I'm going, who do I pursue? Where do I find these potential friends? Because you're kind of like, maybe I'll get really great neighbors. And oh my gosh, I did, by the way. I actually have two neighbors I love to hang out with on a regular basis. But that's like, I mean, let's all be honest. Some of us have really crazy neighbors. um, then if you don't have someone that's really close in proximity, you need to go find some people, and the best way to do that is common interests. So that's like duh. For us that was church, so we didn't really find a church that was a good fit until really the beginning of this year, and that's even been like a process. And I've made some really fun friends at church, but I'm still getting to know all of them, for sure, in that process. Another way is through school, if your kids are in school. I mean, coworkers and neighbors are kind of like the gimmies, but I obviously don't have coworkers necessarily. Now, I will say that I did get the gift of joining Limelight last fall, and I've actually made some really cool long distance friends that, even though I don't see them every day, like we definitely have a connection. We have a bond, and that's the thing. Like, what I think is weird, but also very normal in this day and age, is there's lots of like Facebook groups, so you can find people with a common interest, and maybe some of them are nearby. And sometimes they have meetups and stuff like that. I actually haven't really delved into that one. I joined a couple like mom Facebook groups nearby, but it tends to be more like, hey, recommend this, or Yeah, there's not really like, let's meet up and have our kids play, which is totally fine. It turns out actually an area, if you do have an area of Georgia like Kennesaw, you might actually be 45 minutes away from that person because you're on the opposite sides of that city. So that's kind of hit or miss around here. But I know I have some friends up in Kentucky that if you're all in, I just saw Shauna, if you're in Lancaster, like you're all in Lancaster, it's not really that far away. But so that's one thing. Find your people that might be like you. The other thing is just pursue them. Just ask. Just go, hey, do you want to hang out? And that's really humbling for lots of people to ask that. It's risky to say, do you want to meet up sometime? Do you want to get coffee? Do you want to go play at the park? But at the same time, think about how it would make you feel if someone asked you that. Like if someone met you and 5 minutes later said, hey, let's hang out sometime. You'd feel like really complimented and honored most of the time, unless you're just terrified of people. But chances are, if you're terrified of people, you're not going to give off that vibe that someone's going to ask you to do that. But always think of it from the perspective of how would I feel if someone asked me to hang out? Like normally you're going to feel really honored and you're going to want to do it, and you know, it's totally humbling to put yourself out there. It's scary, but it's the best way to do it. And I just don't feel like, I think we can all get stuck in our own little bubble, in our own little world, and we don't know how to like incorporate new people or make new friends. You just get stuck in your routine, you get used to it. But there'll come a day where you might not have that routine anymore and you need to mix it up a little bit. I had so many things I wanted to say, and now I'm like totally blanking, and I didn't want to write it down because this is not about being scripted at all. This really is just on my mind a bunch. So don't take it personally and keep trying. That's another thing. You have to constantly keep trying. And I don't mean like keep trying different people. You might have to reach out to that same person over and over again, because I will tell you one thing, and Rachel, if you're still watching, sorry, not sorry. When Rachel and I lived near each other, we were neighbors across the street. We've been friends for a really long time before that, but once we became neighbors, our friendship and several other circumstances brought us even closer together than we were before. And I had a tendency to reach out to Rachel. I'd probably say 7 or 8 times out of 10, it was me instigating. But that was because I wanted to, and I needed to, and I needed to get out. I needed Noelle to see Megan. I needed to just vent for a minute sometimes about how hard being pregnant was. But what I knew about Rachel was she welcomed me every time. And if it wasn't good for her, she'd say no, and I didn't take it personally. That's a good point, Rach. Some people actually like don't know how. Like, and that's the thing. There is no right way, guys. You just try. You just try. I'm so going to be coaching Noelle on this. I mean, she's starting kindergarten on Monday, and she sometimes picks to be shy, and that's one thing I tell her all the time. Like, it was kind of accidentally ingrained in me that I was shy as a child, but I wasn't. My mom always said, you would talk to anyone, and then one day you just clammed up and you were shy. Well, that something shifted in me as a child. And so then from like maybe 4 or 5 on, I just seemed really, really shy for a long time. And then after giving my life to Christ, I discovered, oh, I actually want to talk to people. I like talking to people. I can go up and talk to a stranger and have a conversation. Totally. It was a personality, I wouldn't say a shift. It was coming back to who Jesus made me to be, I think is a better way to put it. But, so with Noelle, I say shy is a choice. I do think some people might be more inclined, but I think there's an element of being shy that's a choice. You might be introverted, and I'm an extroverted introvert. I love talking to people, but, oh, Emily, that rock painting, you did great. We had so much fun, even with our insane children. I was so afraid Louis was going to run into the road, but he didn't. I was so proud of him. But yeah, And that was something, Emily, when you invited me, I was like, this is awesome. Emily invited us over. And honestly, it wasn't super convenient to my schedule since I was going out of town the next day, but I was like, no, she invited me over. I am going. So I'm glad that that was a big deal for you. And I hope you had a good time having people over at your house. That can be stressful sometimes. I remember actually there was one neighbor that I kept reaching out to over and over. Like literally I stopped her in the street to introduce myself one day. Like I went, hi, it looks like you have kids the same age as mine. Do you want to be friends? And so I'd reach out to her a few times. And then one day she came over to my house unannounced, rang the doorbell to say hi and brought the kids over. And my husband was actually like, did you know she was coming? Because he was a little annoyed at the timing, I think. It wasn't a good time of day. And I was like, I had no idea. And I was over the moon because I was going, it worked. I kept trying. And I think she likes me. And I think she wants to be my friend. And that's awesome. So that's an example. Oh, don't panic, Emily. Come here. You have a chocolate sandwich all over your face, but that's okay. Cece's on. Say hi. So, hopefully the mirror won't fall. But, so yeah, that's another thing. But mostly I think the point is if you want to be friends, like go out of your way. I have another friend up in Kentucky that, she'll probably watch this later, but we all moved away at the same time. So her core friend group left her. Love you, my friend. You know who you are. And that's hard, but she's working to find that. I think you can have a long distance core, which I still have, by the way. I'm working on my nearby core. And I love this kid behind me. I'm working on my nearby core. And, what was I going to say, Noah? My nearby core. You just have to keep trying. You just have to keep looking. And it can be, by the way, it can be really, Kaden, it can be really, really discouraging sometimes when you are always the one reaching out. That's the thing that can stop people. When you're always the one reaching out, it can feel like, gosh, no one ever reaches out to me. Do not listen to that voice. Do not listen to that voice. Don't think that no one wants to reach out to you because they don't. That's not it. People don't know how. People, it's not worth listening to. Just keep trying. Just keep reaching out. Just keep trying to be friends. And look for people in different categories too. Like some of my best friends are way in a different, I've got really close friends that have no children at all. Which a lot of times you think, oh, but I need to have mom friends. No, sometimes it's nice to have a friend that's not a mom. And some of my friends have kids that are totally grown, and they're some of the people nearest and dearest to my heart, and I get to learn from those people. And of course, my mom is one of my best friends, and she's a grandma. Nicole, don't be people. You think worse about your carpet than anyone else does. And if someone judges you because of your carpet, then you probably don't want to be friends with them anyway. That's my 2 cents. So yeah, keep trying. Don't get discouraged. Don't get in your head about it. Just keep reaching out. Keep reaching out. Because it's worth it, in my opinion. You might... That friend, by the way, that lost all of us, that moved away, she's also one of my greatest encouragers. She'll be like, if I'm going, I'm going to go hang out with some people, I don't know, I'm not really feeling it today. And she's always like, go, you never know. Your next best friend might be there. Now, my best friend is Rachel Mahoney. Part of my heart is in Wyoming. But I've come to believe that there's room for lots of bests in life. And, yeah, she will never really be replaced. But I do want, everyone wants, a go-to buddy. nearby, but there's a lot to be said for having a lot of people that you can rotate through for sure. And honestly, it's busy. Let's not forget that My Little Pony, life is busy. And there's, especially if you're a stay-at-home mom, there's totally a limit to what you can fit into your world, but it's worth fitting into. We are all way too busy, and we need to stop and slow down and and have fun with friends sometimes. By the way, Josh has a really low friend quota. Like, I don't even understand. Like, I'm always like, you need more friends. And he's like, whatever. You're my friend. Like, that's not enough. You need more. You're messing up the video. Or she's making it better. Hard to say. Anyway, if this connected with you in any way, like, tag someone who needs to hear it. Maybe they just moved. Maybe they're just feeling defeated about whatever season they're in life. And you can share it too, if that helps. Some people don't like to be tagged, but they like to send people video. You can send it in Messenger, I think. 'Cause some people also don't like it to be public, to know that they're having a hard time making friends. But love you all. Noelle loves you all too. We're gonna go get her hair cut, and I hope you guys have a kick butt rest of your Tuesday. See you later.